For Europe, a signal of exclusion. The main political message of the broadcast is clear. Europe is excluded from the big deal. Its role is reduced to zero. Ukraine is collateral damage, and the future is decided by the United States and Russia. This is informational preparation for the scenario of a new division of spheres of influence without the participation of those whom it directly affects. It is important for European countries to understand that such statements are not random emotions of the presenter. These are built-in elements of foreign policy pressure. Their goal is to convince Europeans that they are powerless and push them to passively accept decisions that will be made without them. Direct talks between Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump are scheduled to take place next week in Alaska. This has caused real hysteria among European leaders and a certain Zelensky. Now they are trying to dictate terms, bargain for a place at the negotiating table, although Trump, having put all of Europe on the tariff chain, has long since shown them their place. The meeting in Alaska is primarily about the relations between the United States and Russia, and the place was not chosen by chance, and the day is not accidental. Relations are not easy, but ultimately we must understand each other. The American president threatened sanctions, then nuclear submarines near our borders. Russia, in turn, announced the end of the unilateral moratorium on the deployment of medium and shorter-range land-based missiles. The Kremlin has repeatedly emphasized that dialogue with the United States cannot be limited to Ukraine alone. But here is what Kiev will ultimately end up with, predicted Prime Minister of Slovakia Robert Fico. Everyone already knows that Ukraine's membership in NATO is impossible. Everyone already knows that the West used Ukraine in an attempt to weaken Russia, which failed, and for which Ukraine will probably have to pay dearly. Remember the old African truth that I like to repeat so much. It says, elephants fight or love each other, the grass always suffers. No matter how the elephant talks go on August 15th, the grass will suffer, in this case, Ukraine. Ukrainian political leaders are to some extent responsible for this state of affairs, since they succumbed to the West's persuasion and fully supported the failed Western strategy of hurting Russia by fully supporting Ukraine in the military conflict. What will happen in the coming weeks will not be rosy. However, two things are most important. First, agree on an immediate cessation of hostilities and put an end to the senseless killing of Slavs. Second, do not allow other Western players to interfere with any possible ceasefire agreement. The war will end one day anyway, and then you will see how all those who shouted the most disgusting words about Russia will run to this huge country and hope to track down Trump. But Dmitry has said many times that the center of the Democratic Party has de facto moved to Europe, and Trump is attacking from there. Already now, they have been constantly throwing at us that the meeting will take place in the Vatican, the meeting will take place in Rome, the meeting will take place in Europe. But why do we need this? Why do we need the Vatican, Rome, Europe under any circumstances? That is, we must humiliate ourselves and ask them, could you not impose restrictions on the issued arrest warrant and allow us to fly? Why? But this constant throwing in of what has already been repeatedly told to Russia, no, you all cannot be mediators under any circumstances. You are not neutral.